Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies. In today's video, I want to show you guys how to make trench bases or duckboard bases, or whatever other crazy name people have for them. It's basically a World War One style military trench warfare style base. I did an army on them last year for my Krieg. I think they turned out pretty good. Now with the release of the new plastic Krieg, I thought it'd be a great time to show you guys how to do them. It's quick and it's easy, it's really effective, and it adds a really nice flair to any army you want to base on a base like that. So let's get started.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the material we're going to use, and that is a standard coffee stirrer that you find in any shop. I've tried matchsticks, I've tried lollipop sticks, too thick, too small. These are the perfect material. They are a little bit too wide, so what I like to do is cut them down the middle and then snap them into thinner planks. So that's what I'm doing here. All you do is snip them on both ends. Hopefully if you can find one where the wood grain goes up it's a lot easier to snap down the middle as you pull them apart. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those kind of jagged looking planks, really makeshift, which is exactly what we need. As you can see, I'm just continuing breaking down. I'm not trying to be uniform. It doesn't matter how they break. We will use all the different parts that we have to great effect. Even leaving that long piece, which I can glue on later or snap in half later if I need to. So we keep doing this until we have a pile just like this. Then we move over to our base. This stage is extremely easy. You can do this on any size base, and if you stick around till the end of the video, I will show you me doing it on a bunch of different size bases that I did for my own Krieg army. So it's very simple. We start with the base. We get one of our planks, a line of super glue, stick the plank on, and then just so I don't have super glue all over my fingers by the end of it, I use an extra coffee stirrer to push down the plank. Just like this. Just put a little bit of pressure on it for a second or two. That really helps. And that's it. That's stuck down now. And you just continue this process the whole way along, adding lines of super glue and then planks. Like I said, they don't have to be evenly spaced apart. They don't have to be the same width. They don't have to be anything. You just want to get them down there. When these guys are building these makeshift trench works and stuff like that, they don't have access to all the perfectly DIY sized planks. So they just use what they have and what they get their hands on to make them. So it kind of really adds to that ragtag aesthetic. And you just basically want to continue this process until you have planks like this going the entire way across the base. Little plank there for the end bit. Push it down. Getting there, half the base. And hopefully it should look something like this at the end. Now I know at the current stage this looks a little bit ridiculous, but bear with me. I promise it'll be worth it by the end. Another one I want to show you is how to make a kind of more of a character style base, so a little bit more detail. So the first thing we're going to do is use coffee stirrers to build a little platform to make the bit that he stands on a little taller. This is supposed to represent the fact that maybe his particular patch of trench works has gotten blown away and part of it has collapsed. And to get that look, we first need to build a little platform. So what we're going to do is we're going to use coffee stirrers, same as before. We're actually going to double stack them. So this is the first layer. As you can see, I'm only doing it on half the base. We're going to leave the other half of the base bare. Then we're going to cut around those with the clippers until it's like this. And then quickly we are going to throw the second layer of coffee stirrers down, one at a time. And then jump to all of them down. And then we're going to cut them away again. And then we're going to treat this base exactly like the first base. So we're going to start laying the planks down, but tipping up over the edge of this base. So line of super glue. So I just snap the plank in half to whatever size I need it. Glue it down. And just continue this process until, like the other base, all of your planks are in place. This is actually a lot of fun. The more you do, the more you kind of want to play around, experiment, have fun with them. And I've made some pretty cool bases. I'm pretty happy with them. Like I said earlier in the video, I will show you a whole heap of the ones I did for my Krieg army at the end of this video. So bear with me, they're worth the watch. And if you do this correctly, you should look like this. Like I said, this looks kind of ridiculous. But all you gotta do is quickly grab your clippers and get to work tidying them up. This is a seriously satisfying part of the creating the bases process, is snipping these around to match the edge of the bases. Clippers takes them off really well. I also like following the exact dimensions. So as you can see, I'm clipping away the corner bits like this, following the circle of the base, just to make it feel like this particular scene has been plucked right out of the scene. And that was pretty satisfying, but the next base I find is even more satisfying to do when you pick up one of these and you get to clip around it. The first couple of bases of this I tried to make planks the right size to the base, being quite silly, and then I had that light bulb moment above my head of like, why don't I just stick them all down and then cut them off after? The first time I did it and cut it away, I'm not sure whether I felt really smart or really stupid for not thinking about it first. Just tidy up those little bits that are sticking up. How satisfying does that look? Cool, now the bases are prepared for adding some texture and some paint. So that's the next thing we're going to move on to. And the first thing we're going to use is Sterling Battlemire. This is the thick brown texture paint. It's the one that I love because it just gives that more gritty effect, using a normal Citadel texture tool to apply it. If you have an old dry brush, you can use that too, but I wouldn't use any good brushes. This texture stuff will ruin your bristles on your brushes. It's just a nice big hefty scoop out of the ball. This camera seems to love focusing on my hands, so I do apologize for that bit. Gunk it on, and you do not need to be neat and tidy. You are just trying to get this in between all those planks and all over the base. The more you do, the quicker you get at this. And you may be thinking, you're covering up all those planks you spent ages putting on the base. What I say to that is, first of all, it didn't take ages, just a minute or two. Secondly, what we do after we've applied the paint is we use the flat end of this texture tool and we just scrape along the boards again. See what I'm doing here? Just to get the boards back into focus. Take that extra Sterling Battlemire and I'll just scrape it back into the pot. Scrape. Then clean out the planks again. Just to get them more predominant. The dry brushing we do later on really grabs them as well. Makes them stand out. There we have it. That's a Sterling Battlemire applied to that one. We will quickly do it to the other one as well. This one has that lip, so you just want to shove the Sterling Battlemire under as best you can. This bit can be a little bit time consuming, but just take your time. It's worth it in the end. This is what the two bases will look like when they are covered in the Sterling Battlemire paint. Looks messy now, but bear with me. The next thing I do is a really kind of quick touch-up job. I use the Wildwood contrast, and the only thing I use this for is just covering up any bits of the exposed coffee stirrers that you can still see, stuff you didn't get with the Sterling Battlemire. So it's one quick coat. It soaks in really easily and more stains than it does paint. But I find it super effective for doing that. So any bits where you can see wood, just put a blob of Wildwood paint in there. Next up is the first of two dry brushes. The one we're going to use is Rise of Rust. Now you may be asking me why I'd be using an orange dry brush for trench bases, but I think it looks really good. It definitely adds a little bit of color to the base. Add something nice to the miniature. So just a nice dry brush all over, up and down first to catch the boards, all those edges, and then we'll go turn the base sideways and then try and catch in between the boards and catch some of that Sterling Battlemire as well. I use my hand always to remove the paint. It helps me get better control. So here you can see me turning it sideways and just running the bristles really quickly down the middle. just to catch everything. And there we have it. We are quickly going to move on and do it to the other base. And that should look something like this. So yeah, it just adds that touch of color. And from there we move on to a bone color. Just any bone color that you have handy. And same thing again, just a dry brush. And this is the bit that really makes it pop. Really catches all that detail. I do have a bizarre fascination with bone dry brushes. I find it helps out the last stage of so many miniatures. It's such a nice neutral color. There we have it. Just a nice light dry brush. Same thing on the other base. Make sure to get those bits under the broken steps, around the sides, and up over all of those duck boards. And there we have it. I really like when the bases get to this stage. They just feel so cool and you get excited about which miniature you're going to glue on top of them. And then for me, it's a no-brainer. Grab yourself some Abaddon Black. Clean up those base rims, the edges. I use Abaddon Black to rim 95% of the bases that I do. I like that plinth look for the miniature. And after you've done that, the two bases should look something like this. So this is a finished base. I think these look fantastic. Really suitable for Krieg or any guard army, to be honest. Any army that's going to be fighting in a trench system. And as you can tell by the video, it was quick and easy to do. I hope all you guys who see this can see the process that I went through and immediately be like, I can do this. This is easy enough. And as promised earlier in the video, I'm going to show you a bunch of miniatures that I've used this technique on. So these are some of the characters from my Krieg army. And as you can see, same duckboard technique. Some of them add a little bit extra flair. These guys have got some old barbed wire fences, just to make them feel a little bit more special. Like I said, it's the fun bit where you get to play around, do some extra stuff. Here's a Commissar on one of the bases that I basically made today. And then even things like that aren't supposed to have bases, like these demolition tanks. I just made a quick little base for them, added them on. It really helps them tie into the army. And then of course the big boy himself, the Lord Hero. I made his one quite tall, so I had quite a step to work with underneath it. And in good Krieg fashion, I filled it full of skulls. This also works really well for anything bigger. So here's a couple of weapon teams I've used. I've used coffee stirrers to build up little embankment walls. And I just ran Sterling Battle Mire up those, added some skulls, same dry brush and same colors, stained that wood, all with wildwood. And when you get those cool bases, you get to use all those extra bits they give you with kits like their backpacks and the grenades and the rifles. Go bigger again. Some of the larger heavy mortars. I just think it really adds something. You can have a nice boring base, which doesn't add anything, or you can have something like this where it looks like earth emplacements. And then the last one I went a little bit crazy on. This is an earth shaker emplacement, and I made a gigantic one for this. Same technique all the way across. Made a nice little wall. You get those things like the runner rails. I stuck them down to the base because otherwise I honestly don't know what you would do with them. All those empty shells. Place the earthwork emplacement down and add in your 5 crew. I kept it nice and open, so when you're playing a game, if someone wants to actually walk across it, like say the enemy destroys the thing, it doesn't add like a big blocked piece of terrain on the table. And I was like, what would be cooler than one Earthshaker cannon with an emplacement this big? I was wondering if I could fit more than one in, and I could. So here it looks like with my 3 Earthshaker cannons in it. And I think just deploying something like this onto the table is a little bit more impressive. It just adds a little bit extra character to your army without too much extra work. So I was super pleased with how these worked out. Yeah, and I hope you guys like them. I hope you guys will think about adding these duckboard bases to your Krieg projects or any other project. Even a Space Marine would look really cool. Stomping across like a Trader Guard emplacement, stuff like that. And yeah, I really hope you guys liked the video.
And there we have it, guys, the end of another video. As you can see, doing those bases is extremely effective. It turns out looking great, and you need very little materials to do that. A couple of coffee stirrers, some super glue, and 3 pots of paint is all you need to get those bases done. I really hope you guys liked the video. If you did, show me some support, subscribe to the channel, drop the video a like, and ask me any questions you like in the comment section below. And yeah, can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye.
The plan is simple. We paint them all.